We're into the second half of the season, heading towards Great Britain, Brands Hatch in Kent, the venue for rounds 13 and 14 of the World Touring Car Championship. And as they make their only appearance on the British mainland, the crowds are gathering at Brands Hatch to greet them, and the sun is out. Track temperatures already over 40 degrees and 25 degree plus air temperature. It's a racetrack that has featured Alain Menu as a race winner in the last two appearances, Andy Priaulx winning in 2007 for BMW, and both those men will be featuring strongly here today. You can see the penalty ballast that has been added to the cars for success during the season, and to the newcomers, Chris Paulson, Robert Dahlgren joining us this weekend, and a newcomer in the Turkish BMW team as well to talk about, Aytak Bita, as well as Lorenzo Bayaro, who has won his drive in the Sunred Seat by being the best point scorer last time out at Estoril. Well, there is our pole sitter, Augusto Farfus, and he snatched pole position, beating the previous Super 2000 qualifying record by 0.25 of a second, so a quarter of a second quicker. And it was a very close fought battle for pole position indeed. He grabbed it by just 0.02 of a second from Alain Menu. Here is Farfus in action during qualifying. Again, hot and sunny conditions, and that might have caught out a few drivers at the end of the session. The track seemed to be getting no quicker. Farfus got 2 good laps in, claimed pole position, then went better to improve on his own time, and it's just as well that he managed to do so, because Alain Menu ran him very close indeed. But it was Farfus who got pole, and kiss from wife Leia. And he is the man who will start on the front of the grid for the rolling start of round 13 of the championship. 24 races in the World Touring Car Championship for 2008, and we are now then officially into the second half of the season, if not chronologically, at least in terms of the races. Farfus and Menu on the front row, Rob Huff and Andy Priaulx an all-British row 2 ahead of the Mullers, Jörg in a BMW and Ivan, the best of the turbo diesel Seats, qualifying in 6th place. Behind them, Nicola Larini's Chevrolet and Alex Zanardi in his BMW, with Tom Coronel in 9th and Robert Dahlgren, the Swede, in the Swedish Volvo, running on bioethanol in 10th place. He won't score points though. Thiago Monteiro, Sergio Hernandez ahead of 13th, James Thompson with Jordi Genet alongside him, Felix Portiero, and then the second of the independents, Pierre-Yves Cortal ahead of Stefano D'Asti and Franz Engsler. But the independent pole sitter is the points leader in the independents category, Sergio Hernandez. So as the crowds take their place and the cars prepare themselves, there we are, fast approaching race time. At a very disappointing time in qualifying.
Yeah, he ended up 18th, and I think both he and Ricard Rydell, who was 17th, they were about sort of 1.1, 1.2 seconds off the pole position. And a circuit, considering it's 2.5 miles long and such an undulating track, it normally produces very close racing. The top 13 cars yesterday were covered in qualifying by just 1 second, and 2 1,000ths of a second splitting first place Farfus and second place Menu is actually the Chevrolet boys worked it out. That's about 30 centimetres. So I mean, there's nothing. You can't think that fast, you can't blink that fast. So I think we'll see a stonking race this afternoon, 2 stonking races this afternoon, very close. I wouldn't want to put money right now on who's going to win one of these races.
No, I think it's going to be very, very tough to call, with easily the top 8, possibly the top 10, with a realistic chance of victory here. There's James Thompson starting in 13th place on the grid. Now, again, a little bit disappointed with qualifying, but certainly nothing like the disappointment that he had in Estoril when the car went through 3 engines and he didn't complete a single flying lap. So very, very disappointed with that. And
James's girlfriend there?
Zoe, hello Zoe. So he's a little happy with the way the car's going, and I was talking to him just a few minutes ago and he was saying made a little bit of progress through practice, a little bit more they nibbled away at in qualifying, tried something different this morning in the warm-up, and that seemed to work as well. So he said, so we've actually sort of gone 2 steps further forward for the race in the hope that that will help improve things. Now, of course, that's always a little bit of a gamble, but they think they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, they are, and he starts 13th, so I'm saying I'm not sure who I would put money on. I think James, if he can get himself into 8th place, and that might not be so difficult because he's got a couple of BMWs and Seats, he's got the little Volvo C30 in there. Now, they haven't done a lot of testing with this car, so they're not quite sure how that car's going to stand up, how the tyres are going to stand up. And I think if James pushes really hard, he could get to 8th position. Just as we're talking about, there's a Volvo now. See, I think as a Volvo dealer, I'd love to see this car racing in the UK in the British Touring Car Championship. So we just have to work harder on all the dealers, see if they'll put some money in and try and fund it.
Well, there's 2 real novelties about this. First of all, the C30, of course, which is the sort of new shape of Volvo for things to come, and also the bioethanol fuel that it's using, an 85% petrol to 15% ethanol mix, and that is something the World Touring Car Championship has adopted for next year, and they haven't quite decided on the mix yet, but they will definitely be running exclusively on biofuels, bio-combined fuels next year. Tom Coronel with pics of the family stuck to the roof, so when he rolls, he's got something to have a look at while he's waiting for the safety crews to come along. His wife Pauline Swart is here, or Pauline Coronel, I guess she is now, is here with the kids. And Alex Zanardi's family always close by. Of course, he has his motorhome right behind the garages here in the paddock. And Alex, already a race winner again this season, and do you know, there's just a possibility from 8th place that he could do it here again at Brands Hatch, and that, I think, for him would be a first ever win at Brands Hatch. He's never had a chance to win here before, I don't think. No,
I don't think he hasn't won here, and I wouldn't really be putting money on him today because he's surrounded by some fairly serious contenders for an outright win here. And as I started to say about James Thompson, I think if that little car, that little Honda, goes half well in the first handful of laps, he pushes himself up to 8th place, then he starts on the front row of the grid for race 2, he might just win the second race.
Now here's a car that I think all of the men in front will be worrying about, Ivan Muller's turbo diesel Seat. And that car, I think perhaps everybody a little surprised that he's as low as 6th on the grid. He qualified extremely well here in the last 2 years, has got good knowledge of the track from racing in the British Touring Car Championship, and as we saw last time out at Estoril at the rolling start, the turbo diesel gets away from the rolling start really in just an outstanding way, and he may well be, I don't know, I mean, there's every chance he could be 2nd or 3rd into the first corner.
I'll tell you what, from 6th place, if he's 2nd or 3rd into the second corner, that will be a blinding move. Even if Van, I don't think, could do that unless he's prepared to go over the top of people, and he's not usually like that. I think it's interesting that he's qualified 6th, and his teammates who are running roughly the same weight as him, okay, give or take a few kilos, they're way down. They made some fundamental errors, I think, in setup yesterday. I'm not sure they chose the right gear ratios for the car. They were just off, and they looked at the cars of Rydell and Tarquini looked very unstable. Ivan seemed to have a much better looking hooked up car. It was capable of doing the job.
Well, Andy Priaulx, in addition to driving the World Touring Car BMW, has been having another BMW ride this weekend, demonstrating the Formula 1 BMW Sauber. And of course, when he started his BMW career, he did quite a lot of early stage testing with these cars and with the Williams BMW. And as Andy gets ready to start his World Touring Car adventure from row 2 of the grid, he's having to readapt himself after lunchtime yesterday, strolling around in the BMW Formula 1 machine. And official permission to donut it as well. You can't argue with that, can you?
Yeah, well, the trouble is, if you remember back a few races ago when Alex Zanardi won that race at Brno, he did what any good IndyCar racer would do. He did a donut, and the FIA fined him €2,000. And I think if he'd gone down the pit lane, everybody would have chucked a few euros in just to pay that fine, because it just showed a guy with so much emotion having won a race. And I mean, it's not so easy to do a donut with a front-wheel drive car, so I don't know how that works.
No, that would be pretty tough.
Yeah,
pretty tough.
Be good.
Luckily, I've never won a race, so I wouldn't need to know about that. Rob Huff starts in 3rd place, so it's an all-British, although not all-English, 2nd row of the grid. Andy Priaulx, of course, from the island of Guernsey, but this is effectively his home race as well, and a track that he knows well. and a winner last year in the second race, winner of the first race last year, and also a winner in the appallingly wet conditions of 2006. Alain Menu. Now Menu, as we documented a while ago, just 2/1000ths off pole position, so effectively the front row starters' cars are exactly as quick as each other over the entire lap. The real interest, of course, comes in trying to discern where the BMW is quicker than the Chevrolet and where the Chevrolet is quicker than the BMW. And for Farfus, that's going to be very important, as he's got a Chevrolet alongside him and one directly behind him ready for the start of the race.
Volvo. Yeah, that's going to give Dalgren, now that Zanardi's got going, but he has to stay at the back of the grid now. He cannot come back through the grid and form up where he should normally do, which will give the little Volvo half a chance. Bit of space in front, nobody to run into.
And of course that takes one of the cars out of the way for James Thompson and the rest of them that are all trying to get up from outside the top 8 into the points, because Alex Zanardi should start in 8th place but will have to start from the back of the grid. So Zanardi's BMW, actually Alex, as he comes down through Graham Hill Bend, is passing cars and trying to retake his position. So no, that's okay. It says he did get away before the safety car, presumably, so it says on our timing screens car 4 will occupy his position on the grid. So Eduardo Freitas immediately getting the message up on the monitors, which then means the team can radio Alex and go, okay, go, go, go. You've got 2.5 miles behind the safety car. Get yourself back in alongside, who would he be alongside? Alongside Nicola Larini. Of course, this is a rolling start, so that makes it doubly difficult because he has to get in. He can't wait until all the cars are on the grid and then ease his way through, because by the time they get to the grid markings, they'll all be doing 100 miles an hour heading for the first corner. Thiago Monteiro there, the second best of the Seat Leon TDIs, in 11th place. So Seat, despite the fact they've got 3 of the top 5 men in the championship, or 4 of the top 6 in fact, looking a little bit as though they might be hard pressed to really pull the sort of points here at Brands Hatch that they have done at so many race weekends this year.
This is a fantastic track, this, when you just see the undulations, the ups and downs, some of the interesting nature of this track. It's not a wide track, you know, it's not a massive international wide track like some of them. It's like threading the needle in some cases here.
Augusto Farfus and Alain Menu side by side on the front row of the grid, heading out into the sunshine at Clearways. Farfus, the pole man in the BMW, controlling the pace, and it's very slow indeed. Now, these two had a collision last year during the safety car period at about this point, but there should be no such problems here. Looks like Alex Zanardi is back on the 4th row of the grid. He is indeed. We're getting ready to go green. Soon as the lights go green, the race is underway, and away they go. Good start by Augusto Farfus. He just had a little rolling edge, but Alain Menu has pulled alongside to get into the braking area for Paddock Hill Bend. Into 3rd place has gone Rob Huff ahead of Andy Prio. Prio's BMW looking in danger, being eased out by Jörg Muller down the inside. Pierre-Yves Cortals as they all race side by side, and Menu and Farfus drift wide. Huff leads, and it's going to be Prio in 2nd place, and Menu's on the grass. He's down to 5th, 6th, 7th. That's the BMW off. That is Farfus into the barriers, and Farfus, very heavy impact front and rear with the barriers on the way down the hill. And it is now Rob Huff that leads from Jörg Muller. Andy Prio in 3rd. Here comes Ivan Muller in the Seat as they turn through Surtees and head out into the country. Contact between the two of them. Someone smoking heavily behind.
Menu's smoking. He's got damage in that contact with Farfus there up at Druids.
And look at Ivan Muller just pull alongside Andy Prio. Prio's got the inside line as they get to Hawthorne, and it'll be a brave man that sits on the outside, and Ivan can't quite hold the line. Thompson's moving up a little bit in 12th place, ahead of Robert Dahlgren, who didn't get away well. But Ivan Muller makes the move now and gets in front of Andy Prio. And further back, Menu fit to kill, I should think, with that disappointment.
Yeah, well, that's always the problem up at Druids. It's such a tight corner. Everyone bunches up. The guys in front brake hard, and everyone else dunk, dunk, dunk. And the chances, I would bet money on someone tapping Alain up the back, and then that would be where the contact came about. Alain's gone around Druids a million times. He knows how to do it.
So Rob Huff leads at the end of the first lap, and he's pulling away from Jörg Muller's BMW in the Chevrolet. Across the line they come. Third place and a long way back in third. Yvan Muller shows how hard he had to work to get ahead of Andy Priaulx. They are third and fourth as everybody streams into Paddock Hill Bend. But it's the lead pair going away, and Andy Priaulx already working to try and get back in front of Yvan Muller. He had a really good run through Paddock Hill Bend. We're looking at Alain Menu attacking Priaulx.
One of the biggest winners here so far is Gabriele Tarquini. He's gone up from 18th to 11th in the first lap, which is an absolutely blinding result.
Yeah, Janae 9th, Montero 10th and Tarquini 11th, the three Seats further back from this group, which is battling for third place.
This car of Yvan Muller's is slowing down the train behind him, and unfortunately that's going to let Huff and Jorg Muller get away.
And that's Thiago Montero gone off, so that has given Tarquini another place.
You see the gap already opening out between Muller. He's bunching this lot up, and I would think a couple of minutes they're going to get a little bit frustrated and want to sort of get their way past him.
So this is the battle for third then, and in order from the yellow Seat of Yvan Muller, the white BMW of Andy Priaulx, then the blue Chevrolet is Alain Menu, third in that queue, then Alex Zanardi with the Italian colours. We ride with Alain Menu. You can see Priaulx's car riding the curbs in front of him, and this is the section where the Seat seems to struggle.
Yeah, they've been off the road on the right-hand side there more often than they've been on it over the weekend, and I think there's another car parked at the side of the road there. I don't know who that is.
Have a quick check on our timing screen and see who we've lost. We certainly lost Augusto Farfus, and that's as far as he got, I think. He must have rejoined down Graham Hill Bend, and so he's stuck out in the country, and that's very bad news because there's a very short period between race 1 and 2 where you can do any work on the cars, and his car will not get into the garage until then. With James Thompson drifting out wide at the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. Onto the concrete there, he's in 11th place, chasing this group. There's Tarquini at the back of the train.
See, Rob Huff has just managed to put in sort of personal best and actual fastest laps of the race. And that's the benefit of, see, this Farfus is struggling with broken suspension.
Steering apparently.
Yeah, it's looking suspension or steering, yeah.
Definitely hanging off the car.
But he needs to get that car back. But unfortunately now, with a short time between it, unless they think they can repair that car quickly enough, he will then take a drop and go to the back of the grid.
Well, the deal now, the desperation to get it back is so they can spend the race working on it, because you can work on anything in the race in the pit lane. And here's what happened. Menu on the inside, contact between the two of them, then Menu was skidding and trying to control the slide, drifted back out into Farfus, and it's contact between Menu and Farfus that starts it.
That looked to me that Farfus tried to shut Alain out a bit there, and Alain really had nowhere to go at that point. It looked as though he was, and then it was a Chevrolet. That looked like Nick Larini that gave Farfus a tap.
Well, in the end, Farfus heavily into the barriers. He's now reached the Schnitzer team in the pit lane.
Yeah, that was Larini.
So the work will begin now, and we'll have to stop at the checkered flag. But it gives them, well, 10-15 minutes of grace where they can do whatever they want to the car to try and get it into race 2.
See, Huff, as I say, he's just doing fastest lap after fastest lap there. He's got clean air, he's got fresh air, there's no one close enough to tag him, to slow him down. He's not having to worry about looking in the mirrors. He's just got the pace and he's gone. He's currently fastest car on the track.
And there's the secret for Rob Huff, is that he doesn't have to worry about Jorg Muller. Everybody else behind, from Yvan Muller backwards, is worrying about the car in front and the car behind. And this long battle for third, where it's splitting into groups. You've got third, fourth, fifth there, with Alain Menu trailing a bit of bodywork behind Andy Priaulx. But Augusto Farfus, well, you know, he might match Alain Menu for the man who's had a bit of shocking run of luck this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves, again, he's another one that should be further up in the championship than he is. He's definitely praying to the wrong god. He must be praying to the same one as Alain Menu.
Yeah. He's 10th in the championship, Menu only in 12th place, and not many points between them. Menu looking to make that better here in 5th place though, and both drivers will have gone to the grid hoping for a lot better than that. Little gap back to Zanardi there in 6th in the white BM, then Larini, then Coronel, the orange and yellow Seat, then the rest of the Seats follow behind him. Janae, Tarquini and Thompson ahead of Porchero and Dahlgren.
Well, Dahlgren, I think, is doing quite a good job with that Volvo C30. I mean, he's hanging in there. He's now 13th. Okay, he's dropped a few places, but he is amongst the best touring car drivers in the world, and he's got Swede Rickard Rydell behind him. So it might be difficult for Ricard to bump off a Swedish car. That might not do his credibility in Sweden an awful lot of good.
I'm not sure he'll worry too much about that. If he can put a move on the Volvo, he certainly will. And Dahlgren is leading the little queue behind this one, which has got the independence battle as well. Sergio Hernandez, Stefano D'Aste, Pierre-Yves Courtal and Christian Poulsen all together behind Dahlgren and Rydell. As we look again at the battle for third, this is Ivan Muller clinging tenaciously at the moment to a podium, and almost the whole of Graham Hill between second and third. Jörg Muller from Ivan Muller. That's a big gap opened up now.
And Rob Huff has done another fastest lap, so he's got this car well hooked up, and the difference is that there's no one pressuring him. He's 1.7 seconds ahead of Jörg Muller, and he's comfortable.
Rushing down Pilgrim's Drop, Rob Huff, the race leader, is already gone. Jörg Muller in second is gone. This is the battle for the other points places. There's James Thompson's red Honda just ahead of Felix Portiero's BMW, and there is the Volvo, Robert Dahlgren, the Swede, currently lying in 13th place, just ahead of Rickard Rydell's turbo diesel Seat. So you look at the two there, and actually that really shows you that the Volvo's given a very good account of itself, because we know that the pace of the Seat.
Well, the pace of the Seat, and the fact the Seats have tested the till they're blue in the face. They've got those cars very, very highly prepared. These guys from Sweden have done a great job with this little Volvo. They haven't done hardly any testing. I think with a bit more testing, that's definitely a front-running car.
Do you know what's really annoying for Rickard Rydell? Not that the Volvo is in front of him, but he is holding up the independent category lead battle. Hernandez and D'Aste there, the two Pro-Team BMWs, trying to go through him on the inside, and Pierre-Yves Courtal is right there. So the top three independents being held up.
The problem here is that Dahlgren, if Dahlgren makes a mistake, Rickard will just be relentless, boom, he'll be straight through. The trouble is, they're all running so close together that if Dahlgren lets Rydell through, he could let the next three cars through as well.
In terms of points, Dahlgren wouldn't score any, so they don't have to worry about passing him to get points. But, of course, if you pass him, then you can move on to the next car up the queue.
Yeah, but they're using this as a sort of a 14-lap test session, really, because that's really all they can do at the moment.
Oh, Thompson punted sideways by Portiero just as they went through Surtees. Now this is behind the lead group. Well, there's Menu's bumper flapping and finally dropping off in front of Prio. Nick Larini has to take action, and Portiero has gone by Thompson in the background. Could see the Honda behind the BMW. Portiero got inside him and sneaked by James Thompson on the exit of Surtees. And John Surtees, like a lot of the corners here, it needs just the tiniest little tap to unsettle the car, and suddenly you're in real danger. You've just got to try and save the car and save yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Surtees is probably, as you go round the last part of the Indy track and you go off to the left and disappear out onto the Grand Prix track here, Surtees is one of the most, if not the most important corner on this track. You get it wrong, you have a slow run down the long straight. You get it right, you've got to make sure you're protecting on the guy behind you. So I think James just tried to protect a little bit too much.
Riding there for a moment with Alain Menu, and still very close to Andy Prio. There is Graham Prio, Andy's dad, over from Guernsey with the rest of the family to watch proceedings here at Brands Hatch, and I'm sure thoroughly enjoying the weather, as are the huge number of fans here as well. Really big crowd come out, and the weather certainly helps that.
Again, Huff is just continues to knock off fastest lap after fastest lap, and Muller here again is sort of holding up that train behind him. And I think some of these guys behind him could go significantly quicker if they could get past him. But the thing, this diesel Seat has got so much mid-range torque, it just pulls away. No matter how Andy tries, he's going to struggle to get past him here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to have to be something very brave under braking, because under acceleration the diesel just pulls out that gap again.
But you don't outbrake Ivan Muller very often. Ivan is the last of the late breakers, and I'll tell you what, if you outbrake Ivan, then you're having an accident.
Great shots from Andy Prio's bumper camera of Ivan just drifting the car there, John, allowing the rear to steer a little bit, keep the nose in towards the apex of the corner.
We're talking about a multiple ice racing champion here, so a little slide from the rear of the Seat means nothing to Alain. That's the way he drives it. He likes his cars to be set up pretty loose, so he won't be the slightest bit worried about that.
Absolutely not. And frustration for the queue behind, and for Menu a little bit of danger coming in the form of Alex Zanardi as well, who is closing relentlessly on this battle for third place. We're with Prio over the start finish line.
And Dahlgren has done a good job, and he's shaken off Rickard Rydell, and he's right now on the bumper of James Thompson's Honda, which is a pretty fair account.
Oh, Priaulx showing his nose on the inside on the run up to Druids. If Armula's not going to be caught by that though, but you could see the bumper cam there from Priaulx's car. I think there was probably just a little bit of pushing there through Druids.
And he's definitely lining him up for one little mistake.
Yes.
But Muller doesn't make too many mistakes. I think he's going to have to work him over on the tyre situation.
It is relentless pressure, and that's obviously going to be part of it as well, is whether Ivan can keep the tyres alive. We haven't had a racetrack this hot since they were in South and Central America.
You're just over halfway through the race, so I mean, the degradation in the tyres will start to creep in a few laps' time.
So let's see what Priaulx can do. Rob Huff still comfortably ahead of Jörg Muller. Now the gap has never been more than about a second and a half, but that's enough to be comfortable with as a driver.
Absolutely. You know, a second and a half could be miles of a difference. You just don't look in the mirror, you don't even think about it. The guy behind you at a second and a half, there's no way he can get it close enough to outbrake you. You make the mistake. It's only down to you to lose the race at that point. So Huffy's just got to keep focused, keep looking at, just forget everything else and listen for all the wee funny noises in the car.
Well, hopefully none of those until the end when we get the squeals of delight coming over the radio. But there's the next group behind. Thompson with Dahlgren right behind him. There's Thompson's Honda. Oh, and it's looking a little bit uncomfortable as it turns into clearways. Dahlgren's car. Now, John, we were talking yesterday in qualifying about how much rear camber there is on that car, how much the tyres stick out at the bottom compared to the top.
Yeah, they've got about 8 degrees of rear camber on that Volvo, and it's the only way they can lose the rear grip on the car. And a front-wheel drive car, if you have too much rear grip, then you just lose all the front end of the car. In other words, when you turn into the corner, the car understeers. In other words, it just pushes on, and the more steering lock you put on, the worse the whole problem becomes. And they've got what looks like a ridiculous amount of rear camber on it, but that really comes from the fact that they haven't tested the thing. But James talked to me earlier on, he said anyone that wants to pass me today is going to have to take some chances.
Battle for 12th place. James Thompson's Honda is leading that queue. It's Thompson, Dahlgren, Rydell, then the Indy battle. The two white and blue BMWs, Hernandez, Daste ahead of Kortal there. And Christian Poulsen not quite with them, but still in 4th place in the independent category. Franz Hensler is 5th, couple of cars further back behind the struggling Thiago Montero.
At the moment, Tom Coronel in 8th place is looking like reverse grid pole position man for race 2. Petrol Seat, that could be a win. You just never know.
Well, that would be a while since we've had one of those, a win for a Petrol Seat. Nick Larini is in 7th, Alex Zanardi in 6th. As we look at our race leader, Rob Huff, for the first time in a while. Jörg Muller there in 2nd, 1.62 behind. So they're lapping almost to the thousandths at the same sort of pace. But the gap not coming down at all. Huff's car is holding on. And this is the stopper in the bottle. Ivan Muller, Andy Priaulx again showing the nose. Forces Muller to counter to the inside, and that leaves Ivan a little slow off the corner, but of course downhill helps him, and that torque pulls the Seat just out of harm's reach.
You see, Andy's got the awkward position here as a driver. He knows Ivan, he's raced against him many times. You do not outbrake Ivan Muller normally. He has to wait till he makes a mistake, but then at this point going out onto the track, you just see how much that Seat pulls. Little gap, not much, couple of car lengths, and that's just that mid-range torque of that thing.
And that's enough, John, to keep him out of Andy's reach under braking, because you can't really make up more than a car length or two in normal circumstances.
No, you can't. And I mean, everybody keeps arguing about this weight. Oh, with the Seats, we got too much weight. Well, actually, the comparable performance here between a Chevrolet, the BMW, the Seat, even the Volvo time that I'm looking at, they're all very comparable. The weight doesn't look as though it's a million miles away.
It is so close, and the cars have got very different characteristics. Of course, the overriding characteristic of the turbo diesel Seat is this ability just to eke out a little gap on a straight. Give any length, you can just get out of harm's reach, and that makes them so hard to pass. But there are no easy passes in the World Touring Car Championship.
And not in this championship. You've got 20-odd really professional, hard drivers. They don't give an inch. They will not give one little bit. But I feel Andy's got this degree of frustration coming in now, and I think there might be the odd little tap here and there just to waking up.
Dahlgren's having a go at Thompson out of Paddock Hill Bend. He got alongside him around the outside as we watch Priaulx and Muller here out of the window. James Thompson has held on, but Dahlgren was absolutely alongside, and there he is.
And Rydell's got through.
Well, Dahlgren's gone off at Druids, trying to hang on in front of Rickard Rydell, and I wonder if we get a replay of that, whether or not there would have been contact between the two of them. Back to Ivan Muller in third, Andy Priaulx in fourth, the blue Chevrolet of Alain Menu in fifth, and Alex Zanardi in sixth place, from which the chance of a race 2 win would not be out of the question for Zanardi either, because you'd have Larini and Coronel in front of him if nothing else changes from here on in.
Yeah, I'd like to see the replay of what happened up at Druids there. Dahlgren had already passed Tomo, so I'm not quite sure why he ended up in the gravel there, unless it all got a bit fraught.
Well, whether he was cleanly alongside or cleanly ahead or not remains to be seen. Looking at Andy Priaulx, I'm sure the stewards will want to have a quick look at that, as they will do the first lap incident at Druids.
I think that first lap incident at Druids was Farfus just trying to pull to the right, trying to shut the door on Menu, and really there just wasn't the space. Alain would have had to go in the grass.
There's the Priaulx family, wife Jo on the right. Now here's Dahlgren down the inside on the straight.
So on the start line here, Dahlgren was actually ahead.
But look at Paddock Hill Bend. Thompson cuts back to the inside, gets inside him. That's a good pass. Now that was what I was seeing out of the window. Dahlgren right behind. My money is in on him going up the inside on the grass. Let's look at the back of the car. No, not on the front.
Rydell tapped him.
I think he did. I was going to say, did we see the back of the car jump? We did, but he overshot there under braking. So
well, that's
whether he was helped off or just went off.
Well, it looked to me like Rickard Rydell had given him a tap up the back.
Chevy in the pit lane, and that is Nicola Larini out of 7th place. Larini out of 7th place with a tyre problem. And that is Gabriele Tarquini, the championship leader, off. Rob Huffoff
got a puncture.
With a puncture, left front corner, the same as Larini's car. Let's have a look. This is at Hawthorne, and that is a left front puncture. And through Jörg Muller goes to lead the race. So Rob Huff's 100th touring car start. He said he would love nothing better than to win race 1 here. His 100th World Touring Car win. And up until half a lap ago, that looked like it was going to happen. Now, is Menu going to suffer a puncture as well? Are they going to tell him on the radio the other two have had a left front puncture?
Well, it's obviously, I think the ambient temperature here, the speed, the high speeds, this is a 100-mile-an-hour average track, 2.5 miles long, and it's obviously working these tyres really hard. Now, the BMWs don't have the same problem. They're not putting the drive and the braking and the turning and everything through the one set of tyres, which is what the front-wheel drive cars are doing. Now,
the real question for Andy Priaulx is, how much is this heat? How much is this abrasive track? All these high braking areas, all these high G corners. There's Rob's dad and mum, the family watching from the pit lane as he rejoins. How much is that going to affect the Seat tyres? Now, if we've seen 2 Chevys with a puncture from where, surely Ivan Muller's tyres must be starting to give up some grip at least.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a common denominator. There's 2 Chevrolets that have got punctures at the moment. It's no one else. Now, maybe it's a Chevrolet specific thing. Maybe they work their front tyres a little bit harder. But so far, none of the others seem to be dropping off. The lap times are very similar. So I wouldn't have thought that it's a tyre issue.
Priaulx family,
particularly across the board.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Priaulx family keeping everything crossed in the garage. You saw there, Andy now up to 3rd, still with Ivan Muller in front of him, and a lap to go after this. So we're on lap 12, we've completed 12, we're on lap 13 of 14, and if Priaulx's got anything, then he needs to be using it now. Huff back out on track, but what should have been a glorious win, very disappointing ending to the race for him.
The interesting thing here for me is Gabriele Tarquini has come up from, 18th on the grid. He's come up to 9th place. If he can get one more slot, he starts on the front row of the grid for the second race.
Yeah, that would be a real turnaround of his weekend for certain.
But he's not got long to do it, that's the problem.
So we've lost Larini and Huff from the race. We've lost Farfus from the race. Let's see what Andy Priaulx can manage on the last lap Well, it's alongside at Druids, and that's his best opportunity yet, but Ivan Muller just drifts out wide and the torque pulls him away. Prio couldn't get enough grip on the dirty outside part of the circuit, but John Cleland, he's not going to let this one go until he's passed the line for the final time.
No. Andy will keep nibbling away here, but as I said, Muller doesn't make very many mistakes, and a lot of other drivers would maybe have just given Ivan a slight tap on the rear quarter, because a front-wheel drive car, when it just gets a wee nudge, makes the back of the car very loose. The driver comes off it slightly and he's compromised his speed, and the car behind gets through. But Andy's playing this pretty clean, considering he's fairly desperate to get past.
Exactly right, but I think his mentality is that if you're going to win the World Championship, you want to know you won it, not that you just bashed everybody out of the way and were the last man standing.
I think he knows that the guy who's second in this championship, Muller, really the stewards would have him in at the end of the day and saying, hang on, what's going on here? So a nice clean race is what we've got.
Last corner, last lap. Jörg Muller finds the race has fallen into his lap. He would have been happy with second place, but now that's turned into his first win of the season. So for Jörg Muller, it's been a long winless streak, and in fact, he's only got 28 points this season. Second is Ivan Muller, third Andy Prio. So 2 BMWs and a Seat on the podium. Fourth place, Alex Zanardi and Menu's dropped down the order. Tom Coronel is fifth. Where's Alan Menu gone? So it is going to be 8th place and pole for race 2 for 7th place for Gabriele Tarquini.
Yeah.
So Menu and
Menu went backwards there. Whatever happened.
Menu down to 8th, Janae to 9th place.
I mean,
left front is intact. So
no, I think what happened is he just seemed to lift off. When I was looking at the commentary box here coming into Druids, it looked like there was a problem. But Gabriele Tarquini, he comes from 18th to 7th. No wonder he's leading this championship. He's the oldest guy on the track, and he's lucked in, not lucked, I apologise, he's driven a brilliant race to get on the front row of the grid for the second race. Absolutely.
Could end up, from the despair of having thrown away 4 qualifying efforts, he could end up with a race 2 win. Well, there is Hugues de Schoenack, the Orica team boss, who is running Ivan Muller's car and Gabriele Tarquini's car as well. So again, doubly delighted with that. But for the Schnitzer BMW team, well, mixed emotions. A win with Jörg Muller, but Augusto Farfus' car badly damaged, and we'll have to wait and see whether that car will make it out for race 2 at Brands Hatch.
Swedish.
Here is Ivan Muller, the man in second place in this first race at Brands Hatch, and he's got to look red in the face, hasn't he?
Muller and Tarquini are definite championship material. There's no argument. They're world-class drivers.
Jörg Muller, congratulations. You've been waiting for a long time this season for this victory, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's the 7th event we have now, and I'm really, really happy. I mean, I was struggling the last 2 events already in qualifying, and then it was very difficult to get into the points. And especially for my boys, you know, they're really working so hard, and the team is testing such a lot. And it's so good to have a victory again. It's thanks to them.
Thank you very much.
There you go, the little symbol, the little greeting of the residents of the city of Aachen, that little pinky finger thing. Talked about that before. That's a traditional thing in Aachen, which used to be a major European centre for needle making, and the women sorted the needles with the little fingers, and that's the greeting.
Yeah, as I was saying about Tarquini and Muller is he produces results out of nothing. Tarquini produces results out of nothing. The danger here is that these 2 blokes take points off each other. Prio's nibbling away there. Rickard Rydell's had a shocker of a day, so that's going to knock him back a little bit. And Rob Huff, who was actually looking pretty favourite here, he'd got some good points to leg up in the championship. He's had a torrid time again.
No, not worse. Yeah, for sure. You don't know the other position how it was. You're going to go to the end of the season to win the championship like we've always done.
That was Andy Prio giving Ivan Muller some advice on how to win championships there. I'm sure Ivan doesn't need to know. We're talking a guy that's won the ice racing championship millions of times.
Well, and barring a failure of some very cheap and insignificant part in the fuel system of his Seat Turbo Diesel in Macau last year, he would be the reigning world champion as well. So yes, he got as close as it's possible to get and not win it, leading the reigning champion in the race and in the points, and it looked like Rob Huff here, a couple of laps from home, as if we would have a French World Touring Car champion, and Seat would have claimed the manufacturer's title as well, but in the end it wasn't to be.
If either Gabriele Tarquini or Ivan Muller or even Rickard Rydell win this championship this year, win this World Championship, it'll make me feel really proud, because I've beaten these three guys in races in the past.
Yeah.
So it'll make me feel very happy.
Well, that's the way that the points look after race one. Ivan Muller is now our championship leader, but Gabriele Tarquini did not score a 0, so there's still his chance to take that back in race two, when he will start from the front row of the grid with Ivan Muller back in 7th position. But again, as you said, I mean, it's been quite evident for the last 3 or 4 race weekends that Muller and Tarquini have just got that genius of finding themselves in the points. They get in there, they get in there, they get in there.
The professionals, and that doesn't come by accident, you know, it comes by the ability to know how hard to push and when to push. And you know, the Chevrolets have got a tyre problem. Some happy campers there.
There are some happy campers there. Well, he didn't need much help when he got his helmet on, Ivan Muller, did he? It was a dramatic start to the race. Contact between Menu and Farfus saw the Brazilian and the Swiss slide down the order, and Farfus out less than a quarter of a lap later. Action all the way down the field, but the biggest battle was reserved initially for 3rd place. Ivan Muller holding off a long train of cars behind him, led by Andy Priaulx. And for 14 laps, Priaulx tried and failed to get through. Rob Huff's shoe-in victory taken away by a puncture. Farfus also left with a lot to think about after being fired out of race one on the first lap. Whether or not his car makes race two remains to be seen, but from the back of the grid he'll have precious little to say about it.
You can see the damage on the back of this Volvo here, where it's been attacked and mullered by Rickard Rydell.
So that's Robert Dahlgren's car. The wheels were that way when it went onto the track, though, so it's just the bumper at the back rather than...
Anyone that owns a Volvo C30 shouldn't worry that the rear suspension's collapsed there. That's what makes them go really quickly.
However, if you own a C30 and the rear wheels do look like that, get straight to a Volvo dealer as slowly as you can manage, because
give me a shout, I can help you.
Something's gone seriously wrong. Well, John, busy racetrack, busy crowd here. I mean, a huge crowd here in glorious sunshine. And for the championship, a very interesting turn of events again. Some BMW drivers scoring well. Not many of the Seat drivers really scoring well. We've already documented Ivan Muller and Gabriele Tarquini, but Jordi Genet didn't score. Rickard Rydell didn't score. Thiago Monteiro didn't score. So it's been one of the few races where actually the Seats have not done really well.
No, that's true, and I don't think that's any reflection on anything other than this track has proven that it could have been a BMW track. Muller's proved that you can go quickly with a Seat round here with maximum ballast on board. So between he and Gabriele Tarquini, there's 1 kilogram difference between them. So everybody that's moaning about this weight should just shut up, get on with it, and get the job done. Get
on with the racing, exactly right. Stefano D'Aste in the blue suit, the independent category winner, joins us as we have the winner's anthem. Been a long time coming for Jörg Muller, winning his first race in 2008 at round 13. It was certainly unlucky for Rob Huff. And did you notice that the cheer... the German anthem for the winning manufacturer BMW as well. But did you notice the cheer for honorary Brit Ivan Muller was almost as loud as it was for Andy Priaulx from the grandstands, because Ivan, like Gabriele, like Rickard, who've raced here so long and so successfully, really are honorary British drivers, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think mostly that was the Seat team and his family, and he's got the whole lot here this weekend. So yeah, that was a massive cheer for Ivan. Both he and Gabriele Tarquini are two very, very popular drivers, and you're not sure which one you'd want to win this championship at the end of the day.
I think it'd be good, obviously, for the championship to have a different winner from Andy Priaulx. It's very hard to say that Priaulx doesn't deserve any of his championships, because he certainly earned them all by blood, sweat and tears. But there is every chance that we will have a different champion in 2008. And there's our independent category winner, Stefano D'Aste, and I think that might just take him to the series lead. So there are our podium finishers. And Dr. Jonathan Palmer, the Chief Executive of Motorsport Vision, the owners of Brands Hatch, Snetterton, Alton Park, where the British Touring Car Championship is in action. So he's got some big crowds to look forward to this weekend in Gates, I think.
Big cash money, I would think. He'll be counting his money on Monday morning.
Well, he'll be reinvesting it in the circuits if the state of them at the moment is anything to go by. They have rarely looked so good. And Jonathan Palmer, former Formula 3 champion in Britain, European Formula 2 champion, won the Jim Clark Cup for normally aspirated cars in Formula 1 when he raced for Tyrrell, and of course TV commentator since then. He's run his own driving business, very high-end product driving business, and took over the Brands Hatch group of circuits 4 seasons ago now, as the head of Motorsport Vision. And it's the attention to detail and the perfectionism that has marked out his career that he is bringing to these circuits that is making such a difference. And getting back to promoting the meetings locally, to getting the local people to come to the circuits, and that's so much part of the business. Championship now, Ivan Muller 5 ahead of Gabriele Tarquini. Andy Priaulx was 15 points behind the leader when he came here. He's now 16 points behind a different leader, so losing a little ground, but still it is pretty much anybody's race for the top half dozen drivers. You've got to look though on page 2, anybody who's 30 points away at this stage, even with another 11 races to go, you're going to say it's going to be very, very hard to even be in a mathematical possibility of winning.
Pretty much impossible, I would have said, because the drivers at the front, the Tarquini and Muller and Priaulx and so on, they were going to work really hard. They all know how to win championships. They know that, coming second instead of taking that desperate dive to win the race is probably what's going to win the championship. So it'll be interesting to see. Watch what happens here. You got Farfus just turns in a little bit, but Menu was already on the grass and had nowhere to go. So I'm not convinced that was Alain's fault. But I reckon...
shot from behind, they move towards each other, and then there's wheel-to-wheel contact, and, it is so difficult to stop at Druids at the best of times.
But when touring cars lock wheels like that, and that's exactly why Nick Laurini's requested to go to the steward's office because of that tap. Because that was clearly Laurini that spun around and Farfus around about there. But these touring cars are light little things, and just get a little slightly off line, and look what happened. You're off. Rob did a good job to keep that one out the barriers, to be fair. He's got full lock on there, trying to make sure it doesn't swipe the side out of it.
And to have it let go, and that would have been under braking, or what little braking there is at Hawthorne. I mean, you were talking during the morning warm-up at what a quick, suck-it-up, ballsy corner Hawthorne is with 4 tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. You arrive there doing 130 odd miles an hour. It's a fifth gear corner. In the middle of the corner, you're doing 120 something miles an hour, and you really are hanging on because the lateral G is pushing out all the time. 3 wheels on his wagon, that was never going to work.
No, 2 punctures for the Chevrolet boys to think about for race 2, and that will require a degree of head scratching. Thiago Montero's car looking a little bit second-hand. Now maybe that's after contact with James Thompson. We were told that no further action would be taken regarding that incident. Now Farfus's car, they're out on the apron, which suggests that they have done what they can do to it. So it's not taken out of Parc Fermé, or is it?
Well, they're still working on it.
Yes, so in fact it has been taken out of Parc Fermé.
Yeah.
So they will work and desperately try and get this car onto the grid. Now let's get to our top 3, starting with our race winner.
Ivan Miller, you are the heaviest car with 70 kilos. Finishing second today, is that more than you ever dreamed of coming here to Brands Hatch?
Yeah, for sure. I was not expecting the sixth place on the grid yesterday, and today during the start I could use the opportunity to took some cars, and then the end of the straight I have to do as much as hard I could to be wide and to avoid Andy to pass me.
Tell me just about the first lap. It was quite a lot of action. How did you experience that?
To be honest, I don't remember everything. I have to watch TV to really see what's happening. But I just see it was a contact, I think, between Menu and Augusto. And I didn't see more of that.
Thank you very much.
I would like just to say bon anniversaire, Papa.
Happy birthday to Ivan Muller's dad. And you saw Ivan Muller's sister Kathy congratulating him down there as well. After second place, and very hard fought it was. The family there too.
That's Ivan's little girl.
Yeah. So she's delighted with Papa's performance here. Andy Priaulx taking third place, and Jörg Muller the race winner in the end. So BMW's featuring well. However, it looks as though we're not going to catch up with either Jörg Muller or Andy Priaulx for some reason. There's pictures of Ivan Muller stepping out of his car at the end of the race. To warm congratulations from the SEAT team and from boss Hugues de Schoenack. De Schoenack very, very pleased with both his boys being the only two SEATs to get turbo diesel power into the points in race one.